Hey everyone, we are officially 1 week away from 9th edition, so let's talk about some hidden gems after this quick intro.
You have chosen wisely.
Hey everyone, like I said, we are 1 week away from the official launch of 9th edition, but thankfully the leakers went and did their job and they released all the points values for all our units for 9th edition. So with that news, let's go over some hidden gems that I think, might be exploitable in the new edition. Of course, like every mid-tier table player like myself that plays in tournaments or just likes to have fun, take this as a grain of salt, of course, but this is just what kind of things I see that, might be really fun and might be entertaining and also might be pretty decent just based on the points and based on how the missions are structured for 9th edition. So without further ado, let's get to our first unit. Okay. A few things before we actually get started here. First off, I'm not going to take a unit from every faction. That's going to take 20,000 years, and I just don't want to make a video that long right now. So we're not going to do that. What I'm going to do is pick out a couple units from cross section of the factions, and I think you're just going to get some extra value and, look out for. They might end up being really good units for 9th edition. So keep that in mind. The other thing I want to say is, if you like this video, please, as always, smash the like button, subscribe, do all that good stuff so I can grow the channel. And and also click on the links below and comment. That also helps as well. So with that said, let's go on to the first unit, which is going to be this little guy right here, which, if you want to zoom into the video, you don't really have to, but he's painted Anrakyr the Traveler, which is a Necron unit. He's an HQ. And he's pretty awesome. So let's put up his current rules, which will probably get changed, but for the time being, let's just go with the flow. He's going to probably stay 90% the same. Okay, as you can see, he's a pretty much standard overlord. He gets an extra wound, but what makes him stand out is that he has this power called the Lord of the Furian Legions, which is basically +1 attack for any Necron infantry, and as you can see. Now, this is going to be so critical with the new Necron units because there's a lot more close combat with Necrons now, so he'll be able to buff Necrons and just really provide an extra, bonus attack, basically make Necrons more like Space Marines in this sense. So he is not part of any dynasty, so he can be added to any army, and that's also a great utility for him. And he has some little fringe benefits like the will be done thing. He can do that to any unit, so if you magically want to do 2 dynasties in an army, you can have him and buff one and do the other one. It doesn't matter. Same thing with the Mind of the Machine. It's a great power, especially if we get more tank meta. He's going to be able to use his power to control a weapon on a nasty tank and use that against your opponent. So I just think he's a kind of sneaky good thing, and the best part is that he got cheaper in chapter approved, 10 points cheaper in fact, which is really strange. Nothing really went down in price for a lot of units across all factions. To see him just get a straight up 10-point drop is amazing. I think you might find some sneaky good utility for him if you're a Necron player. Okay, up next is these little guys on their terrible flying stands, and those are Inceptor Primaris Marines. And thanks to chapter approved and the last Space Marine Codex, they got 3 wounds and didn't go up in points. They're 40 points for the stock Assault Bolter version, and that's what we're going to talk about here. Each unit has basically 6 heavy bolter shots, and in a tactical doctrine, they're -2. So in 9th edition, I can just imagine these units flying across the board, taking objectives. They can also deep strike, so if you need to have them come in and clear off something, they can do that as well. They just have a lot of utility to them. And while they're not going to be all-stars in close combat, they can at least hold their own thanks to their wounds and their toughness. So if they're in a sticky situation, they can fly out of it. Of course, now with the fly rule being nerfed, they can't shoot once they leave, but at the same time, they can pretty much go over a lot of units and perform really well. So I think in 9th edition, you can get a lot of utility out of this unit, more so than you could in the past, since who cares if they die as long as they are harassing, claiming objectives, taking advantage of objectives that are unprotected, all that good stuff. So please take another look at this unit. I think they're pretty fantastic. Next up is this cute guy, Hive Guard. Now, I know what you're saying, Tasty. Why the hell are you putting up the Hive Guard? They're not a hidden gem. Everyone knows they're awesome. They're still awesome. And yes, they're still awesome. They're going to be one of the go-to units for poor Tyranids in 9th edition. But let's talk about their other loader that no one has ever takes, and that is the Shock Cannon, which if we look at the rules right here, look at them, look closely. What does it do? That's right. This weapon kills tanks, mortal wounds. Mortal wounds are king no matter what army you play. If you have mortal wounds dealers that are effective and cheap, and thanks to the Shock Cannon being really cheap, these guys are now 40 points a model, and it opens up a whole new way of playing this unit. Now, also, thanks to, you know, a new stratagem, you can also have them outflank, basically. So you can kind of have them come on the board. You can also put them in the Tyranid drop pod as well. So I can just imagine seeing these guys drop down, kill off a tank, then move on from there, kill off another tank. There's just a lot of shots that they can actually put out. So I just think that there might be an opportunity to use this, especially if the tank meta is going to be as everyone is advertising it to be. So don't sleep on the shock cannon, I'm saying. Okay, the fourth unit on this little hidden gems video is this guy, which you probably haven't seen since 5th edition, and that is the Khorne Bloodcrusher. These models used to be amazing, but thanks to Games Workshop overreacting, they have been overcosted. They meddled with their rules, their stat lines, and never really got them right. Well, thanks to Psychic Awakening, they got a really cool stratagem called Brass Stampede. And at first glance, it didn't seem particularly that powerful, but with 9th, it's really powerful because you really can't in 9th edition, you know, risk, you know, saying I'm going to go for a 12-inch charge. You're going to just target one unit, charge that, hopefully kill it, or tie it up in some magical way, which is much harder to do in 9th. But the Brass Stampede stratagem basically allows them to kind of play the old 8th edition rules. So what you can do with them is you can charge something that you know they're going to kill, and then use this stratagem to have them pile into another unit further down the field, and then tie up that unit and attack again. So this is really a crazy power. And then on top of that, you can also use the Khorne stratagem to have them fight again for a third time. So I think this really does wonders for the Bloodcrusher, even though they are still more expensive, thanks to chapter approved. Okay, and the fifth unit on my list of hidden gems is the Landspeeder Storm. Let's put it up on the board and see its rules. So thanks to chapter approved, this unit got 10 points cheaper. It is now only 55 points. And I think this is a great troop transport for Blood Angels specifically, because Blood Angel scouts are amazing thanks to the +1 to wound when they charge and all the other special fringe Space Marine benefits they get. So you can put a 5-man, you know, close combat scout squad in these guys, run around, force opponents to blow up this Landspeeder Storm, which is really cheap. It's the cheapest troop transport Space Marines can get. So I just say go hog out, spam these guys, force them to blow up your transports, then have your little nasty murder machine Space Marine Blood Angel scouts, have them come out, kill stuff. I think this is pretty self-explanatory. You just don't see them on the board. Not many people have it, but I think you can just see, if you don't want to play Primaris Marines for Blood Angels, take the Storm, put scouts in them. Okay, the next one, and that is another unit we haven't seen being played, you know, since it's created, and that is the Forgefiend for Chaos Space Marines. Let's put up his rules, because I'm sure you haven't looked at him in ages, but at 135 points, thanks to chapter approved, this unit at the base stock of the two assault cannons and the Maw is really a good unit, especially now that you can move him up the board. He doesn't get the -1 penalty for moving and shooting a heavy weapon. Thank goodness, because hitting on 5s is terrible, but now he hits on 4s. You know, it's still not that good, but it's still, for a Demon Engine, is pretty fantastic. But the key point is that the Hades gun is 2 damage, and guess what we're going to do with 2 damage? That's right, we're going to kill intercessors. So it's a fantastic weapon, shooting 8 shots of this Marine killing weapon relative, and also it's strength 8. So go after tanks with it. Why not? And, you know, of course, you can do Demon Forge, so you can re-roll wounds if you need to. There's just a lot of utility with this guy. Like I said, you can move up the board. If he gets stuck in combat, who cares? He can kill what he's in combat with now because it's not a blast weapon. So, you know, take a look. I think you can get a lot of utility out of this little guy now. He's relatively cheap. He's durable. He heals. Why not? Let's just throw it out there and give him a try. All right, let's keep the Chaos vibes going with Chaos Spawn for Death Guard. Now, they didn't go up any points, really. They came up a couple of points. I think they're 23 points a model. You can take them in units of 5. Let's put up the rules right here so I can show you. Okay, what makes them really special, though, for Death Guard is that they got a really cool stratagem thanks to the Psychic Awakening books, and that is Contaminated Monstrosity. And that gives them now Disgusting Resilient. So they're going to be 5-up, feel no pains, basically. So it gives them a 5-up, 5-up. So they are really going to be highly durable. They were already kind of durable to begin with, but this gives them this extra layer of durability. And for Death Guard, they're relatively fast. So they're going to be able to take objectives, hold them, and if they roll really well in their random rolls, they're going to be able to do some serious damage in close combat. So overall, they're a really great unit. Now, I know it's going to be hard to find points for them because the Death Guard have so many great units, but I feel like you can give them a try. Like I said, it's a really good use of that stratagem is put them on them, make them durable, and go from there. Moving on, let's go to Imperial Guard and let's talk about this Scout Sentinel. Now, I know there's been bubbling up about this not being really a hidden gem. I've been seeing people talk about it, but to me, he seems still like a hidden gem. So let's get the word out there. The Scout Sentinel at 30 points is awesome. Let's take a look at his rules and you'll notice the reason why. Okay, look, this guy has a scout move. Go figure, Scout Sentinels can scout. And this is so powerful in 9th edition. That means you're going to be on objectives before everyone else is. You can block out other people that have this kind of ability and force people to deal with this little pointless 30-point scout unit. Have to kill it. So I think they have this amazing utility because of that power alone. They're also a fast attack, so they're not taking up a super valuable slot for Imperial Guard unless you're going to spam Hellhounds. So that's another power to them. So they're cheap, like I said. But the most important thing is that they can get objectives before anyone else can, force your opponents to deal with it. Otherwise, you're going to just rack up those primary points as you're going to be holding the same or holding more thanks to the Imperial Guard Scout Sentinel. Okay, last but not least, and I had to dig real deep for this one, and that is Craftworld Eldar. Now, as we know, Craft Eldar got slammed pretty hard thanks to chapter approval. A lot of point increases. 9th is not going to be too kind to them. I mean, of course, there's going to be some nasty Eldar builds. Eldar players are probably the most maniacal, ingenious list builders, and they're going to find a way to make this a top-tier army. I'm sure you can probably find a way. But as we kind of muddle our way through 9th edition, I found a unit that, is a kind of blast from the past, at least. We're really hated for blast from the past, and that is Warp Spires. They went up 3 points, which in the grand scheme of themes for the point increases isn't too terrible. And thanks to Phoenix Rising and Psychic Awakening, their Exarch power, I think, there's an Exarch power in there that I think gets that extra utility. So let's look at the rules first and talk about this Exarch power. Okay, the Exarch power, of course, is not listed here, but if you look at the rules for Warp Spires, they jump around. They're highly annoying in that way. But this Exarch power that they can get allows them to basically deep strike a second time, and that's the Web of Deceit. Now, of course, you can play them on the board and then use the Web of Deceit later to have them move again. But for objective taking and just harassing, this Exarch power is really cool. And I'm going to tell you, you're going to flicker feel and just jump across the board with these guys all the time anyway. So you might as well continue to do that, have them harass. And for Eldar, they're pretty durable. A 3-up armor save, put them in cover, get that 2-up armor save, have them hide behind trains so they can't be shot. But you have to be really patient with this unit. You've always had to be patient, but you have to be really patient in 9th edition. Have them kind of be, a turn 4, 5 kind of unit that comes out, clears off something that's already been whittled down, take an objective from an opponent, and then maybe even jump on a turn 5 if you have the bottom of the turn to kind of clinch points for them. So, like I said, of course, they're still not the best unit, but with the fast attack slot being semi-open, unless you're taking a ton of Vipers, take the Warp Spider, give them a try. I'm sure you still have a collection of when you had 1,000 of them in 6th edition. So, like I said, that's the end of my hidden gems. But before you move on to the next video, please like, subscribe, hit the comment button, do all that good stuff, and I'll see you guys next week. Thanks for watching.